Now let's talk about list modification. You can update specific items in a list by assigning a new value to their index. So let's comment this out now. Let's say we want to change the value of the first item in this list. We are going to say fruits with the index of 0. We are changing the first item. We are going to assign the new value we want to assign to the first item. Let's say we want to change the first item to mango, right? If we run this now, let's print fruits now. Okay, so we have fruits. If I run this, as you can see now, the first item has been changed to mango. So we have mango, we have bananas, we have cherry, carrots, and dates. This is how you modify specific items from a list. Let's say we want to modify the second, want to change the second item. The index for the second item is 1. Okay, so if we run this now, so we are going to have apples. Then the second item has been replaced with mango. So we have mango, we have cherry, we have carrots, we have dates. It is the last item. You can use reverse selection to change the last item. We can use -1. Okay, so if we run this now, that means the last item will be changed. You can see now dates has been replaced with mango, right? You can also replace multiple elements at once using the slicing syntax. Okay, so let's say we want to replace the first 2 items. Now we are not replacing just one. We want to replace the first 2 items. So to do that, you can comment this out. Let me change this back to 1. Okay, so let's comment this out. Let's say we want to change the first 2 items. All right. So we're going to use the slicing syntax. We're going to say fruits, right? So the first item has the index of 0. And then since we want to change the first 2 items, that means we are going to use the index of the third item because the end index item will not be included. So we are going to use 2, right? So we have 2. Okay. Now I want to change both of them. We are going to provide what we want to use to replace them. Let's say we want to replace apples and bananas with we can say blueberry. Okay, so we want to replace apple with blueberry. Okay. And then we want to replace banana with, let's say, mango. So we don't start looking for our fruits. Now you can see that apples has been replaced with blueberry. So you have blueberry, then you have bananas replaced with mango. This is how you replace multiple items using list slicing. You can also add items to a specific position in a list. If you can remember, in the last lesson, we talked about how to add item to the end of a list using the append method. Okay, we can also add item to a specific position. Perhaps we don't want to add the item to the end. We want to add it at a specific position. So you can do that using the insert method. Okay, let's see that in action. Let's say we get rid of this. So our current list now is apples, banana, cherry, carrot, and dates. Okay, so let's say we want to insert blueberry to a certain position. Let's say we want to insert it to at the third position, that is the index of 2. To do that, we use the insert method. So we have fruits.insert. Okay, the first thing we are going to provide is the index that we want to insert the item in. We want to insert it as the third item. So that means we are going to use the index of 2. Okay, so we provide the index and then the item we want to insert. So let's say we want to insert blueberry. Okay, now if you run this now, we are going to see that blueberry has been inserted as the third item in the list. So now we have apples, bananas, we have blueberry. The initial third item has been shifted to the right. So we have cherry, we have carrots, and then we have dates. Okay, as you can see, PyCharm is automatically displaying what the values we provided, what they are representing. So you can see now that the 2 we provided is standing for index and blueberry is the object that we want to insert. You can think of this object as string as we are dealing with currently. Assuming we want to insert a number, you can as well do that. So let's say we want to insert 6. Okay, so 6 is going to be inserted as the third item. Okay, so let's go back to our fruits. We are dealing with fruits. Okay, assuming we want to insert it as the first item, so we are just going to use 0 as the index. Okay, so this is going to insert it as the first item. You can see now we have blueberry, apples, bananas, cherry, carrots, and dates. Okay, so the first thing you provide is the position you want to insert it into. Now I provide 3. I run this again now, so I'm going to have blueberry at the third index position, right? You know, we also talked about removing item using the remove method. In the last lesson, we talked about that, how you can remove item using the remove method. For example, let's say we want to remove apples now. So we are just going to say fruits dot remove, and then we are going to provide apples. So now we are removing apple from the list. Okay, so you can see that apple is no longer part of the list. We can as well leave this there. Okay, so that blueberry will be part of the list. So you can see that apple has been removed. There is another method that you can use to remove an item, and that is the pop method. The pop method is used to remove an item by providing the index of that item. You know, with remove, you have to provide the item itself, but pop method, you don't have to provide the item, you only have to provide the index. Okay, so let's say we want to remove apples now. Okay, so let's comment this out first. Okay, so if we display fruits now, fruit is apple, banana, cherry, blueberry, carrot, and date. So let's say we want to remove our apple. So we don't want to use the remove method. Using the pop method, you only have to provide the index of apple that we want to remove. So we are going to provide 0. Okay. So if we run this now, you see that apple has been removed. Okay. So if you provide the index of 1, that means what will be removed? That means banana will be removed. Okay. So if we run this now, you see that bananas has been removed. But with the pop method, if you don't provide any index, it's going to default to the last item in the list. So if we run this now without providing index to pop, that means the last item will be removed from the list, which is currently date. As you can see, there is no dates in our results. Another advantage with pop is that pop also returns the value it deletes from the list. Okay, so let's say now we have fruits.pop. Okay, so pop is going to return the item it deletes from the list. Let's assign that item. Let's say the item is popped item. Okay, so if we display popped item now, so we have popped item. If I print this, you can see now that popped item is date. Okay, so pop returns the item it deletes from the list, but remove does not return the item. So if we pop the first item now, which has the index of 0, so pop is going to return apple. Okay, as it removed it from the list, it also returns it to any variable you assigned it to. But remove does not do that. So let's say we use the remove method now, and then we are removing apples. Okay, so if we run this now, you are going to see that only remove the item from the list, but it does not return it. Okay, so pop is going to return it while remove does not return it. Right, but both of them remove the item from the list. So if we print fruit now, okay, so let's say fruits, you can see that remove it removed apples from the list, but it does not return it. Whereas pop, let's say pop, so if we run this now, pop removed dates from the list, and it's also returned it to the variable you assign it to. In the next lesson, we do more with list by exploring methods like extend, methods like sort, and many other methods. So for that, I will see you in the next lesson.